All right, we are super excited to take you guys through the deWiz, which is a system that we were first introduced to at the PGA show earlier this year. More on that in just a second, but I want to talk about the purpose of this. If you watch the channel regularly, you know on our journey to become better golfers, we've reduced our handicap throughout the years.
Sure have.
And we're always looking for those products that hit that sweet spot that actually help you get better and measure it. We want to actually quantify, are we getting any better? So in addition to taking you through this deWiz product today and introducing you to the product itself, we're also happy to announce that this is going to be part of a series. We're going to be releasing these videos every other week, and during that time, it's going to be actually over the next 90 days, we'll be filming this. We are going to be working with deWiz on a number of areas of our game in hopes of becoming better, and then we're gonna put our money where our mouth is. Because, yeah, exactly. It's going to all culminate into one epic match.
I can't wait.
You versus me. We haven't had a heads-up match
Been a bit.
in a long time.
Been a long time.
Right?
Yeah.
It's been as long as I can
Years,
remember since
yeah.
we played a heads-up match. So that's coming to the channel. Make sure you subscribe for that. But let's go back to a little bit about what we're doing here with deWiz. So if you flash back to earlier this year in January, the 2023 PGA show, this was one of the hottest items. It had a lot of buzz around it. So we said, we've got to check it out. We went over there, we met with the deWiz team, we tried the deWiz wearable out, and we're really impressed with what it showed us really quickly. We also had a chance to talk to Marcus Westerberg, who you're gonna hear from in a second, take us through the product itself. But in a nutshell, what deWiz is, and if I unbox this here, you can see, it is a wearable device that goes on your wrist. You can wear it either on your lead arm or on your trail arm, but you know what? Let's let Marcus tell you what it is.
So my name is Marcus Westerberg, and I'm the co-founder of deWiz. And the reason deWiz came about was that it's really hard to change a golf swing. So what we wanted to do is find a way to help the golfer get into better habits faster. And so deWiz is a wearable tech that you wear on your wrist, and it has a feedback system on the bottom of it, which will give you an impulse when you make a faulty move in your swing, which will help your brain understand the difference between a good swing and a bad swing. And the way you know what is a faulty swing is through the deWiz app. And that is the quick introduction to deWiz.
So, we know that deWiz is something that's going to measure a couple of key areas. We'll talk about those areas in just a second. But if you do watch our videos regularly, you'll know that we've had a little bit of experience with this already. We had done a test of the Golf Forever system, and we needed a way to measure whether we were becoming faster with our swing throughout that process. And what we used was and relied on was deWiz, because one of the things that it measures is hand speed. So let's cut over to Marcus again. Let's find out a little bit more about what it is that deWiz measures.
So as deWiz is located on your wrist, it measures movement in 3D as well as the rotational forces around the forearm. And what we focus on is helping golfers, first and foremost, fix the slice, which is a huge thing with deWiz. We help golfers increase club speed to hit the ball farther, and we do a lot of length of backswing stuff. You need to control the shot distance, especially with the wedges. And then we also have some more data points that look at the tempo of the golf swing. We look at how fast you're golfing from start to impact. What is your rhythm? Hugely important things for your consistency in your golf swing. And then we look at some hand speed and more intricate parameters. And of course, we can do a lot more, but we are focusing on the simple stuff to quickly help the golfer improve his or her golf game.
All right, Mike, so as a measurement tool, we know we get a lot of data out of this. Right? But what we were first so impressed with, and reason why we wanted to use it is say, measuring is one thing, but like, how does it make us better? We need like, what's that one extra special sauce? Why is it that so many people have been talking about deWiz? And what it really boils down to is something called the learning stimuli.
So the learning stimuli came about from my co-founder Christian, who had an over-the-top problem. He was my student at the time, and I could help him in the golf studio to fix that over-the-top problem. But as soon as he got back out on the golf course, the old problem reappeared, as we see so many times. So he basically told me, I want us to build a product it's going to shock me so hard I never ever want to do that move again. But luckily, on the way of development, we met up with neuroprofessor Martin Ingvar, who told us that you're right about everything, guys, except in order to change a habit, a movement pattern, the stimuli doesn't need to be painful. It just needs to be a reminder so that the brain understands that this was the right move and this was the wrong move at the time it happens. And this is, of course, all on the subconscious part of the brain where our movements are stored. So that's a learning stimuli.
Now, when I first heard about the learning stimuli, I thought, okay, we're going to get a big shock. Right? Good news is, as you heard Marcus explain, it doesn't require a massive shock. But in order for the brain to learn better, it needs that feedback. Now, one aspect of feedback when we're working on our swing is we take a swing and then we look at our launch monitor, or we look at our video replay on our phone, and that's our feedback. That is one way to learn, and we use it extensively, but it's not instantaneous. The cool thing about this, and what the real engineering marvel to me is how quickly and how accurately it applies that feedback. Because at the end of the day, feedback is junk if it's not applied at the right time.
Sure.
The good news is that with this device, it measures it down, as Marcus was saying, into the smallest bit of a centimeter in movement, but more importantly, the feedback is applied within 10 milliseconds. Now, 10 milliseconds is about as fast as your brain can process something anyway. So for all intents and purposes, it is instantaneous. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take you over there to our sim, we're gonna put this on, we're gonna take a couple of swings, and then we're gonna show you exactly how it's measuring and how you can use that feedback. Plus, we're gonna tell you a little bit more about how we're gonna be using this with Lewis Kelly, who's not only did he win the
New Jersey State Open.
State Open, he's an incredible golfer. He's also an incredible instructor. So we're going to be working with him in the coming weeks as, again, where I think the real sweet spot with deWiz is the combination of getting great instruction and then using this as that feedback device on your own for the practice sessions in between. So we're going to jump over there and we're going to show you guys that.
I'm so excited to work with Lewis. He's so good. He's so knowledgeable, but I actually wanted to get the leg up on you a little bit more. So what I did is I sent my swing to Marcus to analyze. So
Look at this guy already getting the job.
You know, because I want to beat him bad. So Marcus had some really good feedback with my swing. It was pretty interesting what he found out.
Yeah, so this is really interesting. Thanks for sending me the deWiz numbers and your swing videos. And really interesting here, taking a look at Mike's swing. Seeing that ball flight curving to the right, which you don't want. It's a bit of a slicey ball flight, and connecting that to the deWiz transition number of 4 inches over the top. I would definitely go for that as you want to straighten out your ball flight. So what we say is that when you take the transition 4 inches lower, regardless of where you start, when you have a slice problem as you do, that's the target. So we want to get you to an on-plane or slightly negative transition to change that ball flight into a little baby draw.
So I can see you do have your work to do there.
Big time.
You got your work to do. So let's jump over, let's put this on, and let's show you exactly what it looks like wearing and using the deWiz in a practice session. Okay, so we got the deWiz on here, super easy to wear. It's got multiple sizing options. Like any wearable, it's comfortable, it's light, you don't feel it. Except for when it wants you to feel it, which would be giving that learning stimuli, which, by the way, you can set up the intensity. If you're wondering, you can set it up and preview the intensity. So the key would be giving enough intensity that you feel it without, it's shocking you, which it never will, but at least you'll get enough so you can set that and dial that in. The nice thing, what I really like about this system is that there are multiple ways to use it. So the way we've personally been using it is in this discovery mode, just learning a little bit about our swing and taking some swings and looking at the numbers. I'm gonna take you through that in a minute, but there are also some built-in practice and learning methods that are in here. So if you're working with a coach, that's fantastic. If you're not, you can still use this device with a lot of effect. There's a couple of main things you can practice in here. One being your transition, and a lot of people who struggle with slicing the ball, as you heard about Mike, when they go to the top and then the transition, they're often coming over the top here. That's one thing you'll see that deWiz measures, and they've got some built-in practice methods for that. For me, I struggle a lot with tempo. It's one thing I'm looking forward to working with Lewis Kelly on and getting some tips on how I can make my tempo more consistent. There's a tempo practice in here. There's also, if you want to get a little bit more speed and a little more distance, length of backswing is important. So length of backswing can be practiced in here. And if you saw us use that when we tested in the Golf Forever video. But the last one that I really like is called dist wedges. It's something that we're also going to get into in a future video in even more depth, so make sure you subscribe for that. But the best golfers know dialing in your wedges is how you're going to score. So the nice thing is, because the deWiz is measuring incredibly accurately exactly how far that device is traveling back, it's a great way to use that correlation of learning how far I bring it back is how far those wedges travel. So we all think of like that old drill with the clock, you know, bringing it back 9 o'clock, whatever it may be. Sure, that's one way of visualizing it, but what if you can be hyper accurate? What if you can measure it down to the inch? That's what I like about dist wedges. So a lot of practice things built into this that I wanted to show you, but let's go into discovery mode here. I'm going to tell it what club I'm hitting, 7-iron, and you'll see there's an avatar of me there. You can see it down the line, face on, or the target view. You'll see a lot more after I take a swing. There's not a lot of data here, obviously, yet. I need to take a swing. So I'm going to set that down. So I've got the app going. Let's take a swing, and then I'm going to kind of take you through each thing that it measured. All right, so let's take a quick look at the numbers because, like I said, you get a whole lot. At the very top, we've got this avatar of my swing, which I love because I can scrub through it in slow motion. I can play it in full speed. I can change it to face on or whatever we need to do. You can see that avatar, and it's remarkable how much it looks like your real swing. But then if you dive into the numbers, and these are all things that, like I said, subscribe. We are going to go through all of these in a lot more detail when we do our lessons with Lewis Kelly. But we've got tempo. Again, note, everything here is measured down to 100th of a second. We've got length of backswing, which is how far that device is traveling. As you go from where your set position is, taking all the way back, it's measuring that in inches. And in my case, 48.4 inches. I like to look at that with what you see further down the list, which is hand speed. You know, how much does it correlate to how much I'm bringing it back versus how much hand speed I'm generating? And that distance to impact shows you where your hand speed is maxing out. All really important numbers, especially if you're looking to gain speed and hit the ball further. Remember, hand speed translates into club head speed, and that's how we get ball speed and hit it further. We've also got our transition measured. That was what was so important what Marcus was talking about with Mike. And this is basically what it's doing is once we get to the top, it's measuring where's that transition go. The deWiz knows where it is in space. So are you moving over the top, moving this way, or coming down, or staying on plane? Luckily, my number was 0.1 inch, so 1/10 of an inch, so basically staying right on plane there. But for you slicers out there, and you're having trouble, and you're coming out, like we talk about, coming out over towards the ball, in towards the ball, that's where over the top move, being able to measure that down to the inch is so very important. We've also got our max backswing width, another important number when it comes to generating more power and speed. And then you have your IDDX and IDDY. I know it sounds like it's getting a little bit nerdy here, but these are what's really important if you want to fine tune that swing. And the IDD is your initial downswing direction, and that's measured on the X and Y axis. So you can really get to really hone in on how that transition is starting once you get to the top. All right, so obviously we have some places that we need to improve. And the other thing I didn't mention is that you can also wear this on the golf course. So in that final match, both Mike and I will be wearing our deWiz and measuring our numbers live to see if all the work we're about to put in pays off. Also, the guys at deWiz were cool enough to provide us with a great discount code. If any of you are looking to get a deWiz of your own, we will put all of that information in the video description. We've got a code there that you can use for a fantastic discount. So we're excited for this series. We're excited for all of the information it's going to bring us. And really importantly, we're excited about how we're going to be able to use the deWiz to measure our progress over the coming week. Stay tuned for all of that. Make sure you subscribe. This is going to be fun.